Thank you for joining us on our Family First Life Tri-State Serve the People podcast. We appreciate you tuning in, spending your time to develop and grow with us. Follow us, please, on all our social media platforms at Family First Life Tri-State or FFL Tri-State. We love you. Keep listening, and I hope this information is serving you across the country. All right, everybody, thank you for jumping on with us. Our Family First Life Tri-State Training Day podcast. We are excited. We have the young, ambitious, talented, and hardworking Michael Sandman on with us today. Hall of Fame producer, 2021. Just smashed, his first year in this business, and got to see him walk across stage and receive his accolades, and it was an honor to watch. And it was undeniable that we had to get him on this podcast to just kind of talk to him, see about his journey and how things are going on his side. So happy to have you on, Mr. Sandman. How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. Thank you so much for having me on this. I'm super excited. They told me I was going to be getting on with Mark Mead. I was like, man, I've always watched your podcast, man. So I'm really excited to be on here this morning.
We're equally excited to have you on. You've done something I don't think anyone's done, at your age. And from what I understand, you just turned 20, yes?
Like a week ago. Yes, sir.
You was holding on to that 19 for a while. Like, you still want to hold on to that, don't you? It's like a week ago, but I'm still kind of 19.
Dude, the day before, the last day of convention, I was 19 and 364 days.
You've been holding on to that all year, bro. But that's amazing that at the tender age of 19, you were able to do what you did, and obviously you don't want to let that go. That story is incredible. But talk to us about your journey a little bit, Michael. I mean, when did you start with FFL? How'd you find FFL? And then we'll get into some of your success. But how'd you find us, and when did you start?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, as I said, Mark, thank you so much for having me on here. So I would just to back up completely. When I turned 18, I lived in Louisiana majority of my life. So when I turned, until I turned 18, I lived in Louisiana. I told myself that the second I turned 18, I'm out of here. I was like, man, I'm tired of the swamps, nothing to do, and I'm just ready to go. So I turned 18 in February of 2020, so right at 2 years ago. And March, I was gone. I left. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot. Not a ton of my dad wasn't the type to here's $2,000, go. I had to work for everything. So. What happened is my dad had an old work van, and he was like, it smelled bad. It had 300,000 miles on it. He's like, look, it was at the bottom of the barrel. It was so bad that he just gave it to us. So we took that van. We had the last little bit of money that we had. We hooked onto a U-Haul, came down to Florida, man. And what was crazy is when we came down to Florida, it was right when COVID hit. So it was hard enough. People were losing their jobs, so it's hard enough finding one. So when we got down here, it was a rough living situation. We were like, man, we were living from, it was terrible. We were going from, living in parking lots to living in back of the vehicles, cars. It was bad. But the thing was, we knew that we just wanted out of the situation that we were in Louisiana. And when we got here, my friend, he called me randomly. He's like, hey, dude, I made $500 on Tuesday. And I was like, $500 in a day. I was like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, well, I got into selling life insurance. And I was like, well, of course, dude, let me start.
Let me at him. Let me have at it, dude.
That's what I was like, dude, if what you're doing is morally and ethically, dude, I'm ready to go. He's like, I was like, if you're not, being, scammed online. So what happened was he's like, yeah, of course. So it was with a different company. And we were living out of our car at the time. So I remember calling up the different company manager and I said, hey man, I'm ready to go. He sends me the course, my life insurance, the 214. And I go into a Goodwill parking lot because, like I said, I'm living out of my car. I go into a Goodwill parking lot. open up my MacBook, and I study for about 10 minutes. Man, it's hot down here. My AC just when it was sitting still, it got hot. I was like, man, I was 10 minutes in. I said, there ain't no way I'm doing this. I stopped. What was crazy is 3 months later, I found myself in the same position. I found myself in the same position. I found a job with a plumbing company. We were unstopping sewer line. We were on top of houses. Man, it's like 100 degrees down here in Florida, and the humidity even makes it worse. And my thing was, it was like I knew that there was something out there that I was going to find, and I was going to work hard at, and something that I was, going to do well at, but I didn't know where it was going to come from. So I looked back again into the life insurance industry, and I researched and I reached out to probably like 10 different IMOs. And obviously I was young and I was not even slightly knowledgeable when it come to like compensation, none of that, but Family First Life seemed like a no-brainer. So I called up Eric Anthony, which was crazy. What was nuts is like 6 days before I called him, they just opened up the office. So it was literally perfect timing. Nice. And I called up Eric, and he's like, Eric's the most straightforward dude I've ever met in my life. He's like, hey, dude, meet me in my office in like 40 minutes. I was like, wait, what do you? I was like, okay, whatever. I said, I have nothing to lose. So I get in my car, I come to the office, and as soon as I met him, I was like, yeah, this is the guy. No doubt. And I when I came into his office, he was very straightforward. He's like, look, dude, are you licensed or are you not licensed? I was like, dude, I'm out of high school. What do you think? I don't have a license. He's like, all right, I remember, he's like, what's your date of birth, first, last name, and your email? And I was like, I gave it to him. I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah, I'll give it to you. I gave it to him. And then like he punched in some numbers, or he did whatever he done, which was scheduling my exam and sending me the course. Nice. And he goes, all right, well, you got 7 days to take the test. And he basically pointed at the door. I was like, dang, okay, 7 days to go take. I like this story. Yeah. And that was the thing, man. And then from that point on, I just, all the days that I went 0 for 10, all the weeks that I wasn't proper, all the bad times, I always look back to myself and I saw, when I was like, man, Mike, you could, you went 0 for 10 today, but you sold a policy yesterday for $50 a month. And that's still more than you made, and then that 30 minutes you made more than you were doing with DoorDash for a whole week. Right. And it was like, my thing was there was no way out. So that's what kept me motivated. And from the time that he put me in the course, 7 days later, I passed it. And yeah, man, it's been a crazy, crazy journey ever since. But my thing was there was just no way out. This was all I had. No way out. I love it. What year was that? 2020 or 2021? I started the end of 2020, and because 2021 was my first full year in the business. All right, so let's talk about your ramp up. Was it hard up front in the beginning? Was it brutal? Like, what did you buying leads? Did you have money for leads? Like, did you realize it was an activity game, or did it take you a while to realize that? Talk to us a little about your ramp up. Yeah, absolutely. So when I started, I still have the screenshot, which is crazy. I had $3.52 in my bank account. I had a maxed out. So when I joined, I was super transparent. I was like, look, guys, I ain't got no money, So he's like, what we'll do is he gave me like 60 old leads, and I think I helped like 4 families off of them 60 leads. And well, the thing with myself was when I got that, that much money in that short amount of time, I was 18. I'm young and dumb. I went and blew it all. I was like, and then when it come back to reinvesting into more leads, it was difficult for myself because I had no money. But that's something that I learned the hard way, was when as soon as I made a couple sales, to immediately reinvest. And for myself getting started, Mark, it was super. I was probably the worst agent to ever start with FFL. And I can honestly say that, like, I'm not, even today, I'm not good in the home or on the phone. It's just, I realized that it was just a numbers game. And it took me a long time to realize that, because I didn't come out the gate, dialing all day, running 30 appointments, none of that. Like when I started, I would come into the office, probably show up at 8:30, and then I'd start dialing. And I'll never forget, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was leaving out the office, and Eric's like, dude, where are you going? I was like, man, well, I'm gone. I dialed through all my leads. He's like, Mike, no, you gotta dial lead 27 times a piece.
I love Eric Anthony. He's the best, dude.
I was like, 27. I was like, what are you talking about? 27. I was like, dude, they're going to turn me into the dude, they're going to call the cops. He's like, no, he's like, they need the insurance. I'll never forget that number. He said 27 times. He's like, yeah, call them 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it. And honestly, I did. I implemented that, and I started dialing. I think this is a very specific thing. And I know on probably every podcast within FFL, they scream this from the rooftops, is just me becoming super, super disciplined in my dial time. Like that literally changed everything for me. Wow. And like, I could have not, it didn't matter if my lead flow was good. It was good, bad, didn't matter. I knew if I dialed from 8 o'clock in the morning and I was willing to sit there until 9:30 at night, I was going to book up, let's say worst case scenario, I booked up an appointment an hour, which is really bad. I was at least going to get 13 appointments, and that was the thing, is like, if I put in the time, I knew that was the advantage that I had over a lot of the people that, left by noon or left by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's what I felt like has, allowed me to scale, to help some, the amount of families I did last year, just because I was willing to dial and I was willing to, put in 12 hours on the phone. And obviously with time, you get better, and because when I initially started, like I said, I'd come into the office, I would leave to it. It's just, and even to this day, I'm not good at dialing. It's just, like I said, I'm willing to put in the time on Mondays and Thursdays. And that's where I felt like it's allowed me to do what I've done thus far.
Dude, I need you're going to get on more training with us, because, at the end of the day, what you're saying is the key to success. Too many people are running from this very thing. I need a question I got to ask. What made you go from dialing 2 hours and wanting to leave the office to I got to dial, I got to go all in, and it doesn't matter how long it takes? What psychologically triggered for you that said, this is what I got to do?
Absolutely. So the thing for me was, when I dialed for 2 to 3 hours, I booked 3 or 4 appointments. And when you book 3 or 4 appointments, you're going to have 2 no-shows and maybe a no-sell, and you might sell, you might help with it. It's just like the number, you have way too little shot, so when I saw that, when I booked, 2 on Tuesday, and then I booked 3 on Wednesday, and then I get 2 no-shows on Tuesday. Wednesday, wasn't even motivated to go because I had such a bad day on Tuesday. Like, I was just so sick and tired of that, because I'm going to be honest, my first 2 months, I don't feel like I made any, I didn't make any money, it felt like, but it was simply because I wasn't putting in the work. And that's the thing that I felt like shifted for myself. Was, I remember I was in the office and there was guys staying till 8, 9 o'clock at night. I was like, man, dude, imagine if I done that. And one day I did. And I'll never forget, it was the first week of December. I stayed in there from 8 o'clock in the morning, and I left at 9 o'clock that night. And that week, I think I helped 8 families. Wow. And I was like, man, imagine if I do this every single week. And then the next week, I helped 9 families. Whew. And then the third week of December in 2020, which was right when I started, I helped 15 families. I was like, man.
Wow.
That's literally.
This is the third week of December, you said?
What was it?
Third week of December, you said?
Third week of December, yes, sir, of 2020.
Merry Christmas
and
to
at
the
end
Sandman.
of the at the end of the month, I think I helped out right at 30 families, and I was like, man. And I look back on my month, and all it was just me committing to dialing. That was it. And I know that's something super specific, A lot of people are like, hey, you got to, a lot of different things, but that's what completely changed everything. That's it. That's all it was, just becoming super disciplined to that. And like, even people that ask me now, like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, it's like, I tell them, I say,
dude, you are amazing.
I tell them this. I say, look, if you dial 24 hours a week, like, I'm not the most likable guy. I'm not even verbally advanced.
That's not true.
I'm not even that.
You are very likable.
The thing is just I was willing to put in the time, and that was it. I was willing to get in front of. They always said, if you book 30, you're gonna sit with 20, and you're gonna help 10. I was like, you know what? Let me try that. So I did. That's what my numbers averaged out this past year. Like, it was nothing special. I'm not Steven Giordano that can, help 25 for 30. It's like I know that if I get in front of 30, I'm going to sit with 20 and I'm going to help 10 to 15, and I knew that that's what everybody told me. And that was the thing, is like, anything that I've done, I haven't come up with anything, it's literally a copycat,
Dude.
It's just learned from a lot of people.
Dude, you are a killer. I love it. Love that you're scaling and helping as many families as you are. When you think about how did you wrap your mind around putting money into leads every week? A lot of young people, like you said, you spend it, blow the money. Like, how did you wrap your mind around, all right, I got to throw out, how much you spend on leads a week?
Yeah, that was something that was really, really, really difficult for me in the beginning, because I went from, when you go from making $350 a week delivering food to people's houses with DoorDash to them telling you, hey, dude, spend $2,000, spend $2,000 this week. So, dude, what are you talking about? Spend $2,000? It took me a month and a half to make that in my last job. I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. But I think it was like my 4th month in. One of the guys I work with, he's like, dude, how about this? How about this month? You spend $2,000 every single week on leads. And I did. That month, it was April of last year, 2021. So I did that. I spent at least $2,000 every single week. And that month, I helped 71 families, which was crazy. And it was literally not because it didn't even, like, I went from spending $500 to $1,000 a week to spending double, and not only helping double the amount of families I did previously, but being that much more profitable just because I spent more on leads. It was like, wow, why don't I do this? And then from April till all the way till December, I at least spent $2,000. And when I automated my lead flow, it automated my deposits, and ultimately, I was able to help and protect and serve a lot of families, just because I got in front of enough people. Anybody can. And my thing was it was difficult, but with FFL, you can, it's pretty, our compensate, it's insane, so I just got a certain amount of money. I put, I put that inside of my account, because like I said, I come into this business with no money at all.
Right, sure.
And once I had that, I said, I'm going to start spending at least $2,000, but that changed everything for me. When I started spending $2,000 every single week on leads, and then I even scaled it to like 3,000. But yeah, ultimately that's what helped me. And it was that was super hard for me, because I was super young, not a lot of money. Yeah. Once I started doing that and getting in front of 30 people a week, I was like, man, I'm young and dumb, no college degree, and I'm, able to help and, make money for my family and serve, and protect a lot of families as well.
That's so strong, bro. This is just a clinic. We deal with a lot of agents that are afraid of the two things you just said: investing money in leads every single week and dialing till they're done. I don't understand it, Michael. I don't. I wish I had a pill that I could help people. I could just give you the pill, you swallow it, and it goes, invest every single week in leads and dial till you're done Mondays and Thursdays. 15 appointments 15 appointments on Monday for the next 2 days, 15 appointments on Thursday for the next 2 days, 30 appointments a week. I want to take your DNA and just go, broop, 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 broop. I wish it was that simple. Instead, what we're going to do is hand your training out to everyone who starts with us. Because, dude, you are the definition of it is not rocket science.
Yeah.
$3.52 in your bank account. Didn't even want to take the exam. Like, everything that could have gone wrong early, you went through and overcame mentally. And now you're in the position that you're in where you're one of the top agents in the country and you're a week past 19 years of age.
Absolutely. It's crazy.
It's crazy. So, you know, when you started going in homes, you know, people look at you, you're young, you got a young face. What were some things that you did to overcome that? And then what were some things you did to start effectively serving families? When did you start getting these aha moments of, wait a minute, nothing really matters. I can help anyone who's requested this. How did that go for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, so that was one thing that, goodness. Because when I started, you don't see too many people, you know, 18, 19 in this business. So even in our office, we didn't have anyone. So, I mean, when I initially started, I was like, man, I'm going to walk into people's houses. They're going to be like, who's this, who's this chubby cheek, you know, fluffy haired kid trying to come in my house and help me out with insurance. And that's what I was thinking to myself. Right. I was like, man, they're going to kick me out of their homes and stuff. And my thing is regardless of, you know, all the fear of being too young, or regardless of, you know, me portraying myself, like I did have a lot of the fears in the beginning, but go back to it, I knew that getting in front of 30 people a week was going to fix that. I knew that. And the thing is I learned that because when I started doing it, the numbers just played out, you know, and even to this day, I mean, you'll have some people, you know, I'll walk into people's houses. They'll be like, oh, dang, I didn't know my, you know, grandson was coming over today. You know, but just being super direct, you know, being like, Bob, you know, appropriately challenging clients. And I honestly, in a way, being young can be an advantage. And I don't know. I say that because, I mean, a lot of older people, which is typically, you know, the senior market is a majority of who we deal with and, you know, talk to on a daily basis. And they love young people. They absolutely like older people. Like
they do.
I've gotten, like, I didn't even have to, you know, bring a mill with me to the field because I just knew somebody was going to hook me up, you know. But the thing was for myself was I always knew that I figured out eventually that getting in front of 30 people a week was going to fix that because it doesn't matter if you have, you know, if you're missing an eyeball or you having half an arm, you're getting in front of that many people. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't, because I know I'm probably, you know, I mean, I just know what it took for me to get to that level. And it was just simply getting in front of enough people and willing to put in the time. And ultimately this business is not easy. It's simple. And I know that's what a lot of people say, but it's hard work. Like this past year, I put in a lot of hard work, looking back on the year, I was like, man, I could do that again. You know, it wasn't that bad, you know, and ultimately the opportunity here at Family First Life, I mean, from, you know, writing business on your own pen to building a team, which I see the potential in as well. I mean, it's just truly amazing. So that was my thing from the very beginning is I mean, there was on so many hundreds of occasions, you know, I was thinking about giving up, quitting, chargebacks, leads, you know, I was too young, all these different doubts and things that come into my head. But at the end of the day, I was like, Mike, I had, you know, I had 12 years of school. I'm not going to college, you know, I'm going for another 4 years. You know? And I was like, man, if I just get good at this, I'm like, man, you know,
you are crazy. I love it, man. Your approach is amazing, dude. Seriously, I'm not going to college.
Yeah. I was like, man, 12 years was enough.
Dude. So the reality is, you know, whatever you go through, and there's still a lot of mental hurdles in our business that you deal with on a day-to-day basis because the amount of the rejection level is high. But you don't need a ton of success to beat the rejection level. right? So you're saying even so mentally you're dealing with it, but when you get down to the nitty gritty, you go home at night, you lay your head on the pillow, you don't have a better opportunity. Yes?
That's the best way to put it. Absolutely.
And this is an amazing opportunity. If you were going to give a parting shot to a brand new agent, you know, something for them to take with them to ensure or to increase their percentage of success, what would it be?
Yeah, I think the best piece of advice I would give to a new agent, or even myself getting started, you know, I mean, the number one thing would be to learn to invest into myself from day one. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say that is because it took me like 5 months to figure that out. And that was what flipped the switch for me, was going from, like I said, $200 a week to $2,000 a week, which I mean, in this business to create that type of, you know, money is not that hard. I mean, it was just, I was scared to do that. And for any new agent would definitely be to invest immediately and, you know, commit to the phones. That's it. Like commit to like every Monday and Thursday, I'm dialing, you know, and I'm making sure that I'm getting, you know, booking enough appointments to get in front of enough people. But the number one thing, Mark, is definitely, you know, investing into yourself and believing in yourself, self-belief, you know, because man, when I started, there were a lot of things that I struggled with, because I'm, you know, living, you know, I'm, you know, living proof that if you put your mind to it, you can do this. You know, right. I do say not, you know, this isn't for everybody, but if I can, you know, make this work with, and not just speak, I just know, you know, like I'm not, you know, creative with word, none of that. It's just, I knew that if I put in the time on the phone and I would get in front of enough people. And and like you said, if there was I wish I would have had that magic pill, you know, to spend 2,000 and book 15, you know, twice a week, but I didn't. But once I, you know, learned that, it allowed me to scale my business to, you know, nowhere I ever even slightly imagined possible. But that would be definitely the best piece of advice I would give to any new agent getting started.
That's fantastic, dude. You're incredible, dude. I'm inspired by you doing this podcast. So that you definitely have uplifted my spirits. I'm 100% sure our listeners are gonna be excited to listen to this, and we are going to be handing this out to new agents, because I think you've, you know, so simply laid down a lot of the fears that people deal with, and you've also simply crushed those fears. So, Michael, Sam, man, I appreciate you, buddy. You had a heck of a year. You're going to have a bigger 2022. I'm really excited for you, man. What are your goals for 2022?
Yeah, my goals for 2022 is, man, that's holy cow. I mean, numbers wise, to have a team helping, you know, 500 families a month. And personally, I don't know. I see guys like Jonathan Porcina. I'm like, these guys are nuts. I don't know. I maybe not help, you know, maybe not, I don't know about helping 1,000 families, but I don't know, helping 600 to 800 again, you know, because last year, like, I'm still young. It's not like it's not like I'm, you know, it's not like I'm, you know, 65 years old. You know, it's like I can do this for a couple more years. So numbers wise, you know, have a team helping 500 families a month, and personally, anywhere from, like, you know, to help 600 to 800 families.
Dude, if you can train the way you train today, and you can be as unguarded as you were today with agents, you're very attractive to work with. So that's how you're going to scale to 500 families a month. Just hiring and being very transparent like you were today, you'll hire, and anyone will want to work with you. Anybody, you know. So congratulations on all your success. Appreciate all you do. Great work out there, man. Thank you for serving all the families you serve. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mark.
All right, everybody, Tri-State, let's rock and roll. Training day. Appreciate y'all for listening. Peace out. Let's make it a big week. God bless.